What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here with the quartering, and I think I'm going to start off with a minor adjustment. I think I was too harsh on Netflix's reveal of The Witcher. I think it comes from a place of just constantly being disappointed with TV adaptations of things that I love. Now, I am not and was not at the time of viewing that any deep lore knowledgeable type person of The Witcher. I'm familiar with the video games, and even that is cursory. And I think reflecting on what's going on, what I saw in that trailer, I'm cautiously optimistic that The Witcher will be pretty good. Most fan reaction is relatively positive. My problem, of course, is that it's on Netflix. If it were on any other service, I'd probably be more optimistic or more willing to support it just because of all the bad things that Netflix has done over the years. But I think I was too harsh on it, reflecting back anyway, which transitions great into this news. Netflix loses $17 billion in one day. Ha ha! Well, let's see what's going on with that. It's interesting because I think, before reading this, and as you guys know, if you hang out on live streams, I really try to not read articles until I record the video. Now, there's good and bad with this, obviously. The good is that you get my real, actual reaction to things. But there's also bad with it where I could easily be wrong or maybe overreact like I did with the Witcher TV show. But let's take a look at what's going on here. I predict it's going to be about Netflix probably already saturated everything that they can. And now that all this other competition is launching, people are dumping Netflix, or maybe people are used to just popping in and popping out. That's what a lot of you tell me to do, or tell me you do. You activate your Netflix subscription for a month when Stranger Things comes out or Black Mirror comes out, and then you deactivate it once you watch it. I predict that Netflix will start to make this more difficult to do. They're going to start to force you to subscribe for longer. But let's see what the article says. So again, it loses $17 billion in value in one day. The weak subscriber additions are more concerning, considering they come prior to competition coming from Disney and Warner Media streaming services. Now, I've been on the record as saying that I hate this. What we're doing now, by fracturing, this is what the beginning of the end for streaming services, in my opinion. What made them great is you had everything in one place and it was way cheaper than cable. That was their number one unique selling proposition, USP, if you're a marketer. You had, everything in one place and it was cheaper. It was a no-brainer. But now with Disney pulling all their Marvel stuff and you've got Warner pulling stuff, now you have to subscribe to 2 or 3 of these services to get everything you want. 4 or 5 if you want to include live TV. So not only are you going through 3, 4, 5 different apps on your TV if you have a smart TV to get what you want, but you're paying 3, 4, 5 different bills every month. And when you add it all up, you're paying about what you were paying for regular TV anyway. I think people are just going to jump ship. There's PlayStation Vue, and there's YouTube TV, and Hulu Plus, and Netflix, and Disney, and Warner. It's too much. It's too many bills to pay. It's removing what, at least from my perspective, was the number one most convenient part about it. Netflix shed $17 billion in value on Thursday as Wall Street punished the leader in streaming media for announcing a day prior that it added only 2.7 million subscribers in the most recent quarter, a far cry shy of the 5 million it previously forecast. So growth down 50% from projections. In a research noted Netflix doubters of the world unite. Michael Nathan of MoffettNathanson. While we have never doubted the quality of the Netflix product offering, we recently had a hard time finding comfort in Netflix equity value. Nathan's target price is a lowly $220 on the stock, and Thursday he slammed the discounted cash flow models used by some analysts that took 10 to 15 years into the future as a bologna sausage. He said, Some of the scenarios look downright psychedelic, considering that a U.S. subscriber ad turned negative on the back of $1 to $2 price hikes and underwhelming content slate. So, price increase turns people off. Bad content, even worse. The weak subscriber additions are more concerning, considering they come prior to the competition coming from Disney and Warner. None of that affected the second quarter, but investors wonder what the effect of large content players in the market pulling some content away from Netflix. Now, they suggest that they shrug off the quarterly subscriber miss and instead focus on streaming giants' longer-term potential growth while blah, 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 blah. Our confidence in Netflix remains high, says somebody who obviously shares a different opinion. Multiple analysts, meanwhile, speculated that Netflix might go on a spending spree to acquire content businesses so that eventually it will look more like the traditional entertainment company rather than the new media pioneer it has come since its inception. Remember when you could get newer movies on Netflix? Now you basically can't find anything new. All they have is their own low-budget versions of the shows you really want to watch, and I suppose that isn't paying off for them. London-based Librium capital analyst Ian Whitaker, for example, doesn't cover Netflix, but in a report on Thursday, the obvious key strategic question for Netflix, which we don't cover, is how it will sustain subscriber growth when major content providers are pulling content off Netflix to boost their own services. His answer: one obvious route for Netflix to go and acquire content via M&A, and one candidate here should be ITV, with the UK being seen as a key content production market for global broadcasters. He noted Netflix already has penetrated the majority giggity of the above median income households in the US, and with Disney and Warner on the horizon, he expects Netflix to have difficulty meaningfully growing its domestic subscriber base. Well, I think that some of the big things, some of the big driving forces, if you look at the Occam's razor of this, what is the most reasonable solution here? And that's probably that people are just sick of Netflix. You tune in for the 2 or 3 shows that you want to see, and then eventually you just unsub, or you just decide that it isn't worth it anymore and you sail the high seas and you get those shows. We're not that far, I think, from television shows, programs being a la carte, meaning I can just, if I want to watch The Witcher, I pay $14.95 one time and I can watch the whole program. I might be interested in doing that. If I want to watch Stranger Things, I pay $19.99 for it, like a DVD, and I watch it. Why not do it that way? Well, because the subscription service creates that reoccurring revenue and people forget. I remember when I used to sell this add-on. It was like a tech support add-on back when I used to sell satellite TV. And the numbers were something like 2 to 3% of people that bought it actually ever used it. It was like phone tech support for boomers. 2 to 3% of people actually used it, and most people stay subscribed from 7 to 9 months. So you look at Netflix. Now, there's no actual cost other than bandwidth that I can think of when someone chooses to either A, watch a show on Netflix, or B, not watch a show. But what are some things that they can probably do in the future? Well, if they start to stress and they start to worry about generating more revenue, maybe you're going to start to see more ads on the dashboard, or you're going to see ads in the movies or something like that, product placement, stuff like this. To me, the Netflix UI is pretty trash. I'm not really in love with any of them, to be honest with you, but Netflix isn't great. Hulu's okay, but it's also kind of clunky. They've never really spent a lot of time on their UIs, I don't think. And Netflix itself too, there's obviously a large base of fans, for example, myself and so many of my viewers, who are supportive of the get woke, go broke part of it, saying, look, most of the show writers we publicly interact with, the ones that we know of, seem to have contempt for a certain group of people, and we don't like that. We don't like that the showrunner on The Witcher is talking junk about white males and stuff like this. We don't like and then that's on our favorite shows. We don't even watch a lot of this B-grade sci-fi channel movies that you have, because I feel like, as somebody who had Netflix for a long time, you watch them and they're just like something to do. People are growing up. Millennials, I don't think, are watching as much TV as they used to. If they are, they just binge something and then they disappear for a couple of months. I think it's probably a combination of people just, in general, not being impressed with the unique offerings that Netflix has. I mean, if you take away right now probably Stranger Things and Black Mirror, I can't think of another reason to be subscribed. Maybe there's something I'm missing, but I'm talking about like majority. It's a huge lack of hits. It's their interaction of many of the shows. It's the reimagining of things and all their like progressive baloney. It's what they do to She-Ra, and it's what they do to all these other cartoons. And Netflix adaptation is always trash. It's a meme. I mean, when Netflix does an adaptation, it becomes a meme. I think that's part of it. But in general, I'd be fine Netflix going away. I could live without it. I think most people these days are watching YouTube. That's what I do. I just watch YouTube for most of my entertainment. And I hope that you were entertained by this video. If you were, remember to leave a like and drop a comment down below. We'll talk to you again real soon.